Hi, this is Hannah Foster, and this is my presentation on Chapter 10, Addressing Health Literacy in the Design of Health Messages. The main subject of this chapter is identifying messages that are accessible to target populations, including those with limited skills. Roughly 36% of U.S. adults may have limited or basic health literacy. Research how to design health messages for audiences with limited or basic health literacy. And it also breaks down the chapter into 4 different sections: potential health implications, message strategies, strategies based on available evidence, and it also identifies areas for future research. A little bit about the author. His name is Jacob D. Jensen. He is the Dean for Research in the College of Humanities at the University of Utah. He is also an associate professor in the Department of Communication at the University of Utah, and he is also a member of the Cancer Control and Population Sciences Corps in the Huntsman Cancer Institute. The author's thesis is that health messages for audiences with limited or basic health literacy can be designed. His thesis was clearly stated in the chapter, so I didn't have to kind of dig it out of the facts and opinions that he presented, but the ideas that he did present were presented in a balanced way. He broke it up into 4 different sections: defining health literacy, strategies for delivering the messages, strategies created based on evidence, and identifying areas for future research. When he defines health literacy in the chapter, he takes it from the Institute of Medicine Committee on Health Literacy, and they define it as the capacity to obtain, process, and understand basic health information and services needed to make appropriate health decisions. Basically, what that means is doctors and other people in the health field need to design messages in such a way that people with a low health literacy are able to understand them. When it comes to strategies for delivering the messages, he talks about how to design the messages so that whoever they're delivering the messages to are able to understand them. The way that they can be constructed and delivered is to match the skill level of the audiences. For example, in the book, he talks about a brochure that includes a language accessible to someone with a 5th grade reading level. It's important to come up with different strategies like that when delivering health messages, so that the audience can understand them and not have to ask questions. Strategies created based on evidence. What that means is the research that he did is used, that research and that evidence about people with low health literacy skills. He's able to come up with different strategies to help them better understand health messages. And promising areas for future research, Jensen goes on to talk about how we can continue to use these different strategies when developing and designing health messages. He goes on to talk about effects of word variation, using different words that mean the same thing, but don't, they mean the same thing as what they've said before, but in a different way. Visual message features. Individuals with limited health literacy struggle with text, um, which means that not everybody is able to understand text, in a book or on the internet. So, as a result, health communicators come up with different visuals so that people who do struggle with that kind of learning are able to kind of learn it hands-on with visual presentations. Let's see. One more thing, kind of covering the concerns about simplifications for future research. Jensen goes on to talk about how message design for low literacy audiences often involves the removal of content, which means he tries to simplify it for those audiences so that it's easier for them to understand what is being communicated to them. The conclusions that Jacob D. Jensen makes in this chapter is that low health literacy is a barrier that may explain service gaps and disparities. Health literacy is a major health priority. He advocated for 3 courses of actions for designing health messages, and those are lowering the reading level, facilitating learning hierarchies, and allowing for repetition of content. What that means is kind of what I explained a little bit before, lowering the reading level so that even a 5th grader could read it, allowing for repetition of content. That repetition is so that people can continue to understand what is being communicated to them. All 3 are supported by evidence that suggests utility with low health literacy populations, and practitioners and researchers should be cautious about promoting message strategies that lack solid evidence. If those strategies lack solid evidence, how are they sure that the strategies that they are using are strategies that are going to work? This conclusion, I believe, agrees with the thesis and or stated purposes of this chapter. It was pretty well explained and communicated. The design of health messages and the different strategies that go into designing health messages for people with low health literacy. This conclusion, I agree with it based on my textbook and based on the chapter that I've read. It's health literacy is a major health priority in the fact that not everybody is completely aware of it, and I feel like they should be. There are definitely strategies that are very successful, and there are others that are not. The strategies that Jensen describes in the chapter have definitely been successful ones. This chapter was helpful in my understanding of the subject of health literacy. I would definitely recommend it to anybody that is interested in the subject. It was very informative. And what also helped when doing this presentation is the Flipgrid video that we had, that we were assigned to do on health literacy. This is my first time kind of learning about health literacy and what it is and how it works. So this presentation, as well as the Flipgrid video that we did, were successful aids in this presentation. Thank you.